safety inspectors that there are to monitor what some call abysmal conditions. Our Shelby Brown investigates in part 2 of her special assignment.
A dam breaks, a lake drains, and flash flooding brings a community to its knees. It's happened before in Virginia, claiming precious lives, homes, cars, and businesses. Our state Secretary of Natural Resources, a Lynchburg native, knows that story well.
Having lived through and witnessed the Timberlake Dam break in the Lynchburg area back 10 years ago, I know firsthand the damage that can be done.
The spillway would have eroded back.
Now Scott Cahill is hoping that firsthand knowledge will prompt Secretary Bryant and other state lawmakers to make dam safety a top priority. Cahill's company inspects and repairs dams in Virginia and along the East Coast. He calls the state of our 1,400 dams in Virginia abysmal and worries they're so old they won't be able to withstand powerful storms.
With all my heart, I fear a good-sized hurricane that comes ashore may not even do the damage that wouldn't have to be anywhere near that large. And without it being a very large storm at all, in the scenario of storms, it would breach all of these dams that we're discussing. And that would be the worst possible scenario.
Secretary Bryant says there is no doubt more needs to be done to ensure the safety of all dams. The first step is to do a thorough review of the regulations, a huge task that could take another year and a half to complete. The last one was done 20 years ago.
The issue is pretty significant, and first and foremost, it's a public safety matter.
Bryant says funding and manpower are the two biggest hurdles to clear, but already he has the ears of lawmakers.
In the current budget, there is a $400,000 proposal for a loan and grant program that would be administered by the Department of Conservation and Recreation to help dam owners who are facing significant and costly upgrades to their dams.
Now consider this. There are about 1,400 dams just like this one all across the state of Virginia that need to be inspected. Many of them were built more than a half a century ago. But the problem is the state only has less than a dozen inspectors that go out and review their conditions. A huge concern is that today many of the dams have heavily populated areas downstream. That wasn't the case when they were built a half a century ago.
During that half a century, very little maintenance has been done on these structures, and they require very little maintenance. Generally, the structure and the elements of the structure, the valves and the conduits and these kinds of things are designed for 50 years. We're at 50 years.
Right. And if the dams ever become an imminent threat to those downstream, there is no law requiring private dam owners to notify those who are directly in the line of flooding. But Secretary Bryant says one easy solution is
to have a law passed that says when someone is selling a piece of property that is in an inundation zone, attached to the deed, literally stapled to the deed, should be a notice that the property we're selling, the property you're buying, is in a dam inundation zone, a flood zone, if you will.
Small steps now that could mean the difference between life and death later if this happened in other Virginia communities.
And it's not so much a scenario of running to the kitchen phone and calling your neighbors and say, leave the house. By the time you can get to the phone, your house is wiped out. It can be that serious and that instant